Welcome back to Diary of a Christian Entrepreneur, and today let's talk a little bit more about building relationships, if that is even necessary, as Christians, right? Building relationships, not just romantically, friendships, any type of relationships, building and nurturing them. How do we form relationships at all? It's usually based on, if it's not our family, it's usually based on our values, our morals, things that we have in common, right? Let's firstly say that you should not be staying in toxic relationships, right? You should not be staying in any type of relationship that is not conducive to your growth. So we usually come together because we have some type of shared bond, but sometimes we stay just out of, we feel loyalty. So many different things can pop up, but you should not be staying in anything that is not conducive to your growth. This goes for anyone, right? You should not be allowing your mother to belittle you every time you talk to her and think that that is okay, right? I'm not telling you to forget your mother. I'm just saying there either needs to be some prayer, some conversations, all of that stuff involved in that, but that should not continuously happen. And yes, sometimes our relatives and our parents can do that. That can happen, right? So that's not something that we should just let go and, oh, this is just how she is. Absolutely not, right? That's not how that goes at all. Something needs to be done about that to have a positive relationship, right? Staying in toxic friendships is the same. Oh, she's been my friend since we were little girls, since we were small, but she is very discouraging, right? And she talks about you behind your back, but you feel like you have to stay loyal. Absolutely not, right? So let's just get that straight. I do not believe in staying in toxicity, right? Just because. No, right? There has to be conversations and it could be resolved. I'm not saying that it can't. It can be resolved. If it cannot be resolved, it is okay to let that go. It is okay to let that go. I personally do not believe in staying in any type of relationship that does not serve me. And I say do not serve me doesn't mean that I will not be given advice or that I will not be course corrected. That is a part of relationships, right? I am totally for that, right? You are not going to tell me as a friend everything that I want everything that I want to hear all the time. There are going to be times where you give me positive criticism. That is perfectly okay. So when I say serve me, I don't stay in relationships that serve me. I don't stay in relationships that are belittling or toxic or like that. But course correction, let's get that straight, is necessary still. And for friendships, vice versa. We should be doing that for each other and they do that for us, right? Absolutely. So, all that to say, relationships and community is important, although I don't feel like we should not be staying in the toxic ones. It is still important to have relationships and community. So Facebook, you know what Facebook is. Facebook has pumped millions and millions of dollars into ads for Facebook groups. Why do you think that is? I use Facebook groups for my business and I have a group, right? I have a big group. Why do you think that they pump so much money into Facebook groups? Because I'm just going to tell you, they know that community is important. They know that there is power in when people get together, they can do incredible things. When people get together with common goals or common it can't just be random people. No, when they get together with common goals or common bonds or common values, right, they find strength in each other, therefore they are able to accomplish things they would have not accomplished. That is a fact. That is true, right? So that is why that is so important, when people feel like they belong and that they have they're connecting with people who have similar ideals or similar, backgrounds, anything like that, something that creates a bond between them. They can do incredible things, right? It pushes them to be their best self. That is why community, that's why relationships, that's why nurturing them, that is very important. If we think about someone who is in a abusive relationship, why do you think that what happens when you're in an abusive relationship? Why do you think that abusers try their hardest, right, to isolate that person, isolate the person that they're with, right? Why would they even try to do that? They know for a fact that it's easier to control, it is easier to manipulate when someone does not have people around them, when someone does not have community, they don't have someone they can run to or call, when they are not in the presence of a community, of a people, a village, something. They are way much easier to control. You can much easier um, get inside their head, put your own thoughts into their head, and make them do what you want them to do, right? That there's a reason for that. There's a reason why God said it was not good for Adam to be alone. The devil works the same way. Let's be honest. He works the same way. You ever notice that he purposely tries to isolate you as well? Because again, it is easier to put thoughts into your head. It is easier to tell you all of these things that are not true about you. It is easy to tell you that you are nothing, that you are worth nothing, that you are not valuable. It is easier to put that into your head and you start believing it when you don't have people around to tell you absolutely not true, when you don't have people around to say, what are you talking about? Um, that is not true. He knows that it is easier when you isolate yourself to control, to manipulate, which is why he also does the same thing, isolates, right? Tries to get you to wallow in loneliness and stay alone, right? So he can do that for you. So he can put those thoughts into your head, right? But it's not good. God said it's not good to for Adam to be alone, right? So if you are out here saying, I like to be by myself all the time, I'm an introvert, I'm not a people person, I like being in my bed. Me and my friends say that too. I love being in my bed, right? Don't get me wrong. It is okay to be an introvert, obviously. I feel like I'm an introvert. But what level are you taking that to, right? If you are always alone, always by yourself, it is easier to be controlled and manipulated, and it is easier to wallow in lies, right? Then what are you doing? Right? It's okay to be an introvert. It's okay to like your bed, because I do too, right? It is okay. But are you just going to not spend time with people? Are you not going to call your friends and check on them? Are you not going to spend time with your family? Right? Are you not going to spend time with your spouse? So Hebrews 10:25 says, let us not neglect meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another. There is a reason and a purpose for building and maintaining relationships, right? It allows us to encourage each other. Galatians 6:1 and 2 says, help each other who fall get on the right track and share each other's burdens. It allows us to see each other's burdens and our issues and help us get back on track. So when two people are attacking a problem at one time, way more likely that it's going to be solved, right? That's what happens when we start to nurture and build relationships. So again, I love my bed too, right? But it becomes something different when we only want to be by ourselves, when we never want to spend time with other people, right? And in the beginning, I said we do not get with toxic relationships. We do not condone toxic relationships. So you have to find your community, right? Your group of friends, your community at church, whatever your place is or whoever your people are, that is going to be conducive to your growth, right? And let me point out, it is unfair and it doesn't make any sense to ask for God to allow more relationships into your life. Like, I want new friends, I want a boyfriend, right? When you do not take care of the people who are already there. I saw someone on Facebook who said, isn't it interesting how we want to be booed up, right? And we are not even spending time with our children, or we are not even calling our parents, and you want to be blessed with another relationship. Doesn't really make sense when you're not nurturing, taking care of the people who are already here. Absolutely makes sense, right? It doesn't. It doesn't. So are we nurturing the people in our lives now, the positive, the people who are there for us and are encouraging and are sharing our burdens, right? Are we developing relationships with those people? The biggest shock of my of my life when I started a business as a business coach is me thinking that I was just going to start a business and people were just going to flock to me and I would never have to talk to anybody. When does that ever happen? But that was my thought process. You know, for a business to get off the ground, there has to be some networking involved. Why? Because you have to get to know people, right? What their problems are. You have to genuinely talk to them and figure out what those problems are, how you can help them, how you can best serve them. You have to do all of those things before you see any growth. And I was allergic to that, right? Not because of anything anyone uh, did. It was just my fear of being rejected. It was just my fear of, what if this person doesn't, you know, like me, or just random stuff again. But I was constantly isolating myself. Therefore, all of those fears were being amplified by a devil who likes to get you alone, right? So it is so important to start nurturing the relationships that we already have with our family, with our friends, with our spouse, with, the people that are in our corner, right? And building that up, because those relationships are what push us to be all we can be. And that is definitely coming from the Bible, right? It pushes us, it encourages us, it supports us. We find, I found empathy. I found how to empathize with people when I knew where they were coming from. I found out how to be a better person, right? I found out so many things about myself. It wasn't just about when I started the business. It wasn't just about me teaching people and that's it, right? I've learned so much about myself just from having those people in my space, just from networking and getting to know people, right? So that changes the entire game and it grows you as a person, right? So what are the relationships that we are leaving at the wayside? If it's toxic, get rid of it. Or let me not say that, or pray and see what God wants you to do. And if we have positive relationships in our life, what are we doing to build them up and nurture them? so we can be all that we can be in Christ.